This is the Debrief at Decision Tactical.
We are here with Kenneth Dean. Came all the way out from Baltimore, Maryland area. Very happy to have you here. It's his first time. Just flew out this morning. We're here in the green screen room having some fun. I know I just mentioned it a little, but tell the audience where you're from specifically.
I was born and raised in Baltimore City. The whole downtown, I don't know if you heard of The Wire. That whole thing is real. That's actually real. And I was born and raised West Side, Baltimore.
Gotcha. What's it mean to you to be from there?
A lot, because I survived, and like most of my friends didn't.
It's crazy because I interviewed one other person. They said that was literally a similar response from Baltimore.
You know, they went to drugs or they went to jail, and that's kind of it's kind of sad, man.
Did that type of upbringing, did that influence you ever? Like, I know you became a cop. Did that have an influence in it?
It did, because at 13, it was funny. Excuse me, at 13, my mom. Well, the guys in the neighborhood they recruited me, a bunch of the guys, to sell heroin.
All right.
No, wait. Let me get that out there. I did not do it, right? But it was just that experience of the guy, the drug dealer getting the guys in the neighborhood to sell heroin for him. And I remember, like, we were in this room. We are all in a room, and I forgot whose house it was. Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, if you buy something or make a big purchase, or if you mess up my money, I'm gonna kill you." I'm 13, man. I'm sitting there
hearing those words,
right? That was the day I never forget. I was like, that ain't for me. That's what changed. And then my mom didn't play. My mom she wasn't super like hard, but she instilled discipline. My grandparents, the same thing. I had to cut grass. I had chores on weekend before you could go out, and they were big on that. So they really helped me, and kind of shape
push in that direction. Yeah. When did you first get on the job?
1996.
Wow.
I know. I was young, man. I was a baby, so I ain't gonna tell my age, right?
No,
well, y'all figure it out. But I was a freaking baby, man, when I came.
What was it like back then? Was it The Wire?
It was.
Yeah.
And it was fun because we still had projects.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, high rises.
Yeah.
Right? Real high rises, right? Sure. And we worked those things. And it was, like I said, the show, The Wire, they blew them up, but it was nothing like somebody throwing dirty Pampers down from like the 13th floor. They threw TVs, trash, because that was a project.
It was just that's what went on.
That was projects, and we worked those projects.
This is a big question. How do you feel about the current status of like law enforcement, whether it be there or elsewhere?
I think it's watered down now.
Okay.
Because of politics. I think the officers, in my opinion, and a lot of officers want to do their job. They're just handicapped by politics, because it's almost like the body camera was supposed to help us. You were supposed to instantly, was supposed to, hey, I recorded something, somebody made a complaint. Your supervisor was supposed to be able to look at it instantly and say, "No, ma'am, you're lying, get out of here."
Yeah.
But it didn't work that way. So it turned into a monster of its own. And I just think politicians really have no clue how it really is out there. And this is huge, man. If you got, I don't know if y'all have yet, but again, Florida's different. If you guys ever get politicians in here,
we've been working with some local people.
Yeah, get them politicians, man. Oh my God, because they're the lawmakers, right? And people always get mad at like, oh, y'all police don't. I'm like, we don't make law. We just enforce it. So, I think it's a really sad state. Again, unless you're in, for me, Arkansas, Florida, or Georgia, right? They still let the police.
Police, yeah. Yeah, that's what the word means, yeah. I know that you've been involved and engaged with different shootings on the job, and that could affect, not only you, maybe family. How's it affected you today? Like, while both not only seeing that, but even after the fact?
Well, my first shooting,
Yeah.
I lost pretty much everything because I shot and killed, unfortunately, a 17-year-old robbery suspect.
What?
He was reaching for a weapon, but that training kicked in. So I actually shot him before he could get it back out. So I shot him through he had overhauls through the pants, leg, and right into his left hand. So that's what saved me, because he was armed, but somewhere between, we were in the alley between that shooting and another guy he was with, that weapon disappeared. But what saved me, because it was a clean shooting, but what saved me was the forensic evidence.
Wow. Like, you could tell he was
They took the material out and was like, yeah, he was reaching. In today's world, I probably would be doing 5 to 10 now. In today's current climate, because it's different now. The second one's guy on PCP stabbing a firefighter. That's more clean cut. But that first one, it cost me my relationship and my major relationship back then, because she couldn't deal with the PTSD.
Yeah, how you feeling now?
I'm fine now. Yeah, much better now, man. But you go through it and you're like, you don't know. You just like, I did my job, and in your mind, as a young police officer, you're like, hey, I did my job. I'm right back on the job, right? Clean shoot, I'm right back. You don't, no, homicide. Got to talk to you. You got to talk to the state's attorney. You don't know that stuff as an officer, man. You don't know that stuff, and it's like, geez, what? I didn't know. They didn't tell me any of this. You know what I mean? They didn't tell me any of that. It was like, hey, you graduate, you good. They didn't tell me any of that. So yeah, it's different now. But it just, I guess it destroyed it, because I'm much stronger now. But it destroyed a lot back then. Wow. Because my ex, my daughter's mom, she didn't want it. She was like, I'm not.
Yeah, it does. I know a lot of officers also work with canines like yourself. Tell me how you got into that. Did that have anything to do with what you went through on the job?
No, actually, it was funny, because I kind of got recruited to do some stuff in Virginia.
All right.
In Northern Virginia. It was funny, and they sent me to a facility in Connecticut to get canine trained, which is really cool.
Okay.
So it was hush hush, and I was like, how did I get into this, right? But it was really cool, and all I can say with that is, because I had to sign those, non-disclosure.
No, yeah, NDA.
But they were really cool, because I had a lab bomb dog. She's beautiful. I had to give her up, but it was one of the best experiences I've had, because they really teach you. And you get fully certified.
Oh, she was yours.
Yeah, I took her home and everything. You get fully certified. But I just say this: there's some places and buildings, and I'm sure they down here too, that are heavily fenced, and they just look out of place. Yeah. And you're kind of like, what are those buildings? That's the places we had to go. It's
like the movies.
Right. Because I didn't know, man. I'm like, what are these places? And then when I went, they're like, hey, this is, you're like, oh, okay, now I figure out what it is.
Ever Google yourself and surprised at what you find? I have. I did not like what I saw. All my information is out there. I regularly receive spam calls, weird text messages, even experience card fraud. We need better protection. How did I even get our info? Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Aura, I now know. Aura shows me which and how many data brokers are selling my information. These data brokers make a fortune selling my and your information. They also make it hard to get your information removed from these sites, but Aura solves that by automatically submitting opt-out requests on my behalf. This helps reduce the amount of spam I receive, and I feel much more secure knowing my personal information isn't as exposed. I promise you, you have information exposed right now. Just Google yourself and find out. Best case scenario, more spam. Worst case scenario, hackers and scammers are getting into your financial accounts. Do we want that? I don't think so. I value my privacy and I value yours. Go to aura.com/decisiontactical to start your 2-week free trial. The link is in the description. Go check it out.
I love what I'm doing now. And like I said, I get to interact with the community a lot more.
So another way that you interact with the community is through your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
Let's Talk Law Enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about all that and what made you start that?
The PTSD.
No,
The
man.
shootings. I got so frustrated with looking at videos on social media where the police were just crucified for not just doing their job, but you look at something, you're like, that's unfortunately, you had to shoot somebody, but that's a clean shooting, clean use of force. Everything became racism. Everything was, if they were this color, if they were that color. And you're like, no. They did what they were supposed to do. The number of shots. You're only supposed to shoot. Oh, this part is huge. Only shoot them in the toe. That's how people think. Only shoot them in the arm. So what started that was, I was so frustrated. Oh, there was an incident in Baltimore, Freddie Gray incident, where Baltimore had a riot. It was years ago.
Okay.
But if you look at it kind of now, it wasn't too long ago, and a lot of Baltimore City was burned because a young man unfortunately lost his life in the back of a police wagon. Well, it turns out police got charged, like 5 officers got charged for it. Turns out it was a total accident. Guy hit his head in the back, and the only thing with the negligence part was they didn't strap him in. But it had nothing to do with the use of force or whatever. It was an accident. And a friend of mine worked on a case, so we got together, and that's what really kind of started that along the PTSD. Because she was like, she just retired, and she was like, we got to talk about this.
When did you start that?
Believe it or not, just little over 2 years ago.
Nice.
So I went from like 2000 to like, I don't know, it's pretty big crowd.
So I have my own opinion on this, but why is it necessary?
Because I believe people need to know what really goes on. And if you can take one person and they go and they come back or they inbox you and say, hey, I used to be this way until I looked at your videos. Or I was this way until you explained to me.
Goes a long way.
Right.
Yeah.
And you think like, man, who are you, right? But you're like, people are watching that you don't think are watching.
So with that, what's your audience like? Like, have you seen like a specific demographic or?
It a lot of law enforcement supporters, but there's also a lot of, I can say anti-police. But
the haters.
The haters, right? But it's funny because
they're still supporting by watching or engaging.
and they will still say something, and you come back and say, well, no, that's not correct. And they go, I didn't know that. You're like, well, why you got 5 cars behind this one guy? I was like, well, because he committed a shooting last week. But you guys don't know that when you drive by. We know that because we looking at the warrant information, and that's why it's 3 to 4 or 5 cars behind this one car, because this guy wanted for homicide last week. But you guys don't know that.
Yeah.
So when you start telling people, it kind of give them that, because I think our departments do a really bad job of giving out information to citizens.
Gotcha.
And I mean real information on why we do stuff. They really don't. You know what I mean?
You think more should be exposed?
Well, because you have to tell people. Again, like we just said, well, no, we don't shoot in the toe, man. That's not how we train. But they won't do that.
Yeah.
It's the general, public information general statement. And you're like, and you're frustrated yourself as a guy. You're like, oh my God, I was on that scene. Like, really? Tell him more. Tell him this dude had a gun.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Well, he could have been armed.
Oh yeah, what's
no.
left out?
Right,
like intentionally,
potentially.
Yeah.
And another thing, the media to me is one of the worst culprits of misinformation.
Yeah, I guess you know better than me. You're on the street, so.
The worst. Yeah. Because my shooting was reported that, my first shooting was reported that I shot this guy in the head while he was on his knees praying. I kid you not.
Oh, wow.
That was, they interviewed so-called witnesses, and I'm sitting there like, and you're not even supposed to watch that stuff, but it irritates you. You're like, wait, that's not how, I'm the one that was in the shooting, right? And you're like, no, that's not how it happened. But when they put that stuff out there, people go with the negative part.
Yeah.
Of it, you know what I mean?
It's easier to gravitate towards that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You've been on the job a long time. What's it mean to you to be a cop? It's a big one.
Honestly, I do feel I've helped a lot of people over the years that actually needed help. You know what I mean? That, the domestic young lady is 19 and she's trying to get out of her, she got assaulted the first time. The lady that we've had 2 people that had babies. It's funny because you hear that stuff until you see it, but people had babies in the car, right? And you're like, man, what's going on? Like, whoa, that thing really coming out there, right? The kids that were lost, we had infant death. So I feel as though for me, it's like I'm doing something like kind of positive with my life, where I'm not that guy just to sit back and go, let somebody else do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what it kind of means to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I come from a big cop family. My father,
right?
My father's NYPD. It means a lot. Being around people with badges and who are willing to do some things that I might not be willing to do. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, you took a flight out here this morning from the D.C. area to come out here to Decision Tactical. How'd you hear about Decision Tactical?
You guys came up on my podcast feed and my Instagram feed, right? And I was looking, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't look like a regular range, right? So I start seeing some of your training sims, and I was like, whoa, wait, that's not normal? That's just not the regular cookie cutter stuff. Like I was telling you about, where the targets just sit there, or they turn, or they 2 seconds. I was like, this is pretty good. And then I saw one, like I said, where it wasn't a mall scenario, I forgot what it was, but it was really cool. And I was like, man, I gotta reach out to them, man. I was like,
we're glad you did.
Because that is cool. And I'm very, very passionate about training. So out of the box training is huge.
Yeah. So how do you feel knowing that you've experienced one of the scenarios and the range?
How
do you feel?
I love it. I'm ready to go. I gotta get one. I think I gotta get one more, man. Till I feel right.
He needs another try.
But it's so cool because, again, it's just not the regular training that most departments go through.
So how do you feel DTAC could help law enforcement?
Well, without a doubt, you guys put law enforcement in more realistic training. And the scenarios, like I said, the scenarios are awesome. So
nice.
Me as a law enforcement officer, I want that type of training because that's the call you're going to get at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's the call you're going to get 5 minutes before you're about to get off. And that's when we tend to get, kind of like, I'm going to get off, or whatever, right? And you get that call. You get that call for that shooting, that stabbing, that cutting, whatever. And I think you guys with law enforcement, it can only help because, again, most good officers want better training, and this is some of the best training out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, really.
Yeah, cool.
And I've been trained by some really good, tactical guys in DC, and like I say, active shooters, certified guys, and we have what we call TAC Village House, or had, but it's still not like this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like now you can kind of like, wow, I combine
cool.
it.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Cool. Well, we're happy that you were able to come out and not only experience but enjoy as well. Yeah, and We got food downstairs for you too. We'll take care of you.
I love it.
I'm gonna switch it up to my speed round type thing. All right, something personal, something like professional related. Best cop movie.
Movie or show?
Both. How about that?
So I'm gonna go with The Wire.
Yeah,
because realistic.
Yeah, that's a show. What you got? What you got on the movie side? That's a tough one.
Heat.
Cool. All right. On that.
Because of the gunplay. It was really whoever trained them guys, the bad guys. That's pretty good.
Which shift?
Midnights.
Midnights. All right.
I'm a midnight guy.
On that sounds good. Well, what do you do on your downtime? What's like a hobby?
PS5. I swim, and I'm trying to finish my pilot's license.
Interesting. On that. Very cool. Maybe you could fly me somewhere.
Bro, I got a ways to go.
If you could be a cop in a city for a day, what city would you choose?
Ooh, jeez, what city would I choose? Okay.
Or a month. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I would say city, but I would come down and Florida State Police.
Cool.
Or any sheriff's department down here, to be honest, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys from New York come down here. So.
Yeah.
Sports teams?
Baltimore Ravens.
Nice, man. Yeah. So, we can close out with that. How can people connect with you, and what do you have going on next?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Let's Talk Law Enforcement, period. And you'll see my face, or, my silhouette, I should call it. And we're also on major podcast networks, basically all the major ones. And what we're trying to get into next is basically expand the podcast. Where I have some really good guests, people like Megan McCarthy. She was LA County Sheriff, got into a really bad shooting. She's kind of like my co-host every now and then. And then I have, believe it or not, I have Police Dispatcher, who I have come on, and she gives her side of it. But what I really want to get into is citizens. I'm going to get some regular citizens on the show and listen to their gripes and kind of maybe explain, different aspects of policing to them too. So that's kind of like the next one, the call-in stuff.
Nice. Well, thanks for sitting down with this citizen.
No, you know what I mean? Because I think that's cool, because they ask questions that people really don't, most agents 100%. Don't answer.
Yeah. Could be that guy. Appreciate everything, man.
Hey, bro. Thanks for having me, man. I really love it down here.